Technical difficulties, but we are back. What's going on, y'all? I'm your host, Dominic Pasella, joined with my co-hosts, Madison Holder and Ashton Sharinn. We have a full show for you today discussing everything from MLB to CFB. We don't have much time to waste, so let's get right into it. Ashton, do you want to take us into some of this MLB postseason?
Yeah, absolutely. Here, if we look on the National League side of things, Phillies and the Mets, they had the second game of the NLDS in their series yesterday. Phillies won 7-6 on a walk-off hit by Nick Castellanos in what was a back-and-forth game. Bullpens did not play particularly well on both sides. Edwin Diaz gave up 3 runs for the Mets. On the other side, Matt Strom gave up 2 runs for the Phillies out of the bullpen. This is going to be a series that I think you're going to have to watch on. I think the Mets, they beat the Brewers, and there's this thing. If you beat the Brewers, you're going to make it to the World Series. We'll have to wait and see if that happens or if Philly will break the curse. Both these teams are playing really strong baseball. And on the other side of it, I mean, what a dominating performance by San Diego. They won 10-2 against the Dodgers, and this seems to be a particular reoccurring theme by the Dodgers. No matter how much money that they spend per year, they just can't seem to get out of their own way, especially with the pitching side of things, giving up 10 runs. San Diego just looked dominant all throughout. Fernando Tatis 3 for 4 with 2 homers.
Yeah, and in the American League, the Gritty Tigers, the Detroit Tigers, tied the series 1-1 after a shutout victory against the Cleveland Guardians, winning 3-0 today. Tariq Skubal is the best pitcher in baseball. I don't think that could be debated. Today he pitched 7 innings, gave up 0 runs, only gave up 3 hits, and had 8 strikeouts for the game. Tigers designated hitter Kerry Carpenter blasted a 2-run homer in the 9th inning to end the stalemate. It was 0-0 until the 9th, and the winner of this series advances to play the winner of the Yankees versus Royals series. And for that series, the Yankees are up 1-0 for the series, but are down 4-1 in today's game against the Royals. And Ashton, what are your World Series predictions? Because it's heating up.
I mean, look, as much as I love the New York Mets, I'm going to have to go to San Diego Padres. I mean, their lineup up and down is just incredible. They've got good pitching, both in the starting rotation and in the back end of that bullpen with guys like Tanner Scott, in that bullpen. So I think their bullpen way outlasts the Mets bullpen, and that's what really postseason baseball comes down to, is who has the more dominant bullpen. I got to give that to San Diego. On the other side of things, while I do think the Tigers will advance into the next round, I think they'll play the Yankees, and I think they'll have met their match. I have the New York Yankees advancing. Kind of similar. I think they have a very strong bullpen. Luke Weaver has come out and has kind of, I think, shocked everyone and has been their true closer for them, has been a really good reliever this entire year. Their lineup up and down. I mean, Juan Soto and Aaron Judge right there. That's a World Series. 2 players, right, for a World Series lineup. So I think up and down their lineup is great. San Diego, New York Yankees.
I'm shocked you say that because I'm not even the Mets fan at this table, and I think the Mets are going to go really far. I think that if you compare their last game, even though they lost, that was a much closer game than the first that they won. That was like more of a dominating victory, and I think they have the momentum to keep going right now, especially with all their key players. So I'm going to take the Mets.
Yeah, my biased opinion says Tigers going to the World Series against I don't know who against. Maybe the Phillies. The Phillies are looking really good, but unbiased, I'm going to have to say the Yankees probably will advance. When you have Aaron Judge and Juan Soto batting back-to-back, there's not much you could really do there. Those are just 2 cannons. And, yeah, Tariq Skubal is going to face them in the ALCS, but when the Tigers don't have many other starting pitchers in their rotation and the bullpen isn't great to back it up, that's what worries me as a Tigers fan going into ALCS, especially against Aaron Judge, because he's going to hit nukes.
I think the Tigers will go far, too. I was texting Dom today saying they went cold, but I take it back after their performance.
Kerry Carpenter, bomb. A carp bomb.
I take it back.
Quit playing with him.
I mean, you hit the point on why I think the Mets aren't going to go. If they do get past the Phillies, why they're not going to get past San Diego, and it's like I keep hitting on, it's the bullpen, and it's just their pitching overall. I mean, they have some guys like Senga and Minaya who've kind of stepped up, but really outside of that, I mean, Diaz has just lost this entire season. He blew another game yesterday, so he just looks like he doesn't even want to be here and pitch. I mean, that's what it seems like to me. The trumpets aren't working, nothing's working. The amount of blown games he's had is unbelievable, and it just looks like he's lost it. and I don't think he's the same pitcher. I don't think he ever will be. Tyler McGill coming out of the bullpen. I mean, you're pitching a guy here who has zero bullpen experience, zero playoff experience. That's why I don't think the Mets are going to do it. It's because they have zero experience in that back end.
Yeah, no, and I agree. I think the Tigers are the same way. I think they're two hot, frisky, and fun teams, but realistically speaking, I don't think that they're the World Series potential. Maybe in the future, but not as of right now. And let's switch it over to the WNBA. The New York Liberty advanced to the WNBA Finals, and the Sun versus Lynx Game 5 is tonight to advance. In that Liberty game, Sabrina Ionescu dropped 22 points, 7 boards, and made 5 3-pointers to beat the Las Vegas Aces 76-62, beating the back-to-back champions. And for the Lynx versus Sun game, the Connecticut Sun won 92-82 against the Minnesota Lynx. And the Lynx's all-star Nafisa Collier, like usual, she balled out. She scored 29 and 13 in that game, but it just wasn't enough to get the dub. And the winner-take-all Game 5 to advance to the finals is tomorrow. I'm hyped for it. As a New York Liberty fan, it's good to see them in the finals. And I don't know. Real quick, who do you guys got, Lynx or Sun tomorrow?
I'm going to go with the Sun here.
I agree.
I think their team overall, just up and down, is a lot stronger. I think they have a stronger depth, and I can see them advancing. Me personally, I'm going to go Sun.
I see the Sun taking all as well.
I disagree. I have the Lynx. I think Nafisa Collier is probably a top 3 player in women's basketball right now. But
Well, separate the player from the team.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't know. She's carrying pretty hard.
If you're going to look at them, you're going to look at the Sun has, like Ashton just said, I think the overall stronger team. So not to take away from her gameplay, but I'm going to go with the Sun as well.
Okay.
But moving into the NFL, I need to talk about the Commanders because they won over Cleveland on Sunday, 34-13, their 4th win in a row this season, and their best start since 2008, Washington's best start in 16 years. And I'm going to credit it to Jayden Daniels, who is my Offensive Rookie of the Year candidate. He didn't play outstanding versus the Browns yesterday, 238 yards for 1 touchdown, 1 interception, overall passer rating of 75.6. He wasn't probably the key component yesterday, but they've got a lot of components leading to Washington's success. I think Brian Robinson Jr., he ran for 2 touchdowns yesterday. Their defense is on fire, recorded 7 sacks, held the Browns to 212 yards. They were held them to 1 of 13 on third downs. The Commanders have so many offensive and defensive weapons right now, and I also brings up the argument, is Jayden Daniels Offensive Rookie of the Year? What do you guys think before I give my thoughts?
Well, I'm biased towards the Giants, and as much as I love Malik Neighbors and he is balling, you can't discredit anything of what Jayden Daniels is doing right now. I mean, he's playing excellent. He's leading a Commanders team that I think even with Jayden Daniels, people thought maybe would be at best middle of the road. But right now they're playing like a playoff contention team.
For sure.
They're running through teams. Offense is looking great. So, yeah, I think right now it's safe to say that he's the front runner.
Yeah, I mean, when you take a team like Washington to the top of the NFC East, they're 4-1 right now. They are looking spectacular, and it's very nice to see Terry McLaurin, who I've always thought was a dog, finally have a stable quarterback in Jayden Daniels. Last year when he was on LSU, I knew he was going to be the guy. I used to make TikTok videos, and one of my biggest ones was about Jayden Daniels, how he's going to win the Heisman, and how he's going to be a top draft pick, and he's proven it. He's playing like one. I think he's a guy like Lamar Jackson. He could get it done on the ground and in the air. Very underrated in the air as well. Terry
Absolutely.
McLaurin, a top receiver in the NFL. He had 4 receptions for 112 yards yesterday against the Browns. So it's just very intriguing to see where the Commanders go. I personally think that they win the NFC East. I don't know about much from there. I think they're going to be a really, really good team in the regular season, but I don't know if they have high playoff hopes.
I don't know. I think that, here's my opinion. Jayden Daniels, when I look at him, I feel like I'm looking at C.J. Stroud because I feel like part of the reason Jayden Daniels is so successful right now, he has a solid roster around him, and I accredited C.J. Stroud for the same thing last year, former Offensive Rookie of the Year, because it makes all the difference if you're looking at a number 1 overall, like last year Bryce Young went to the Panthers, you're looking at this year Caleb Williams going to the Bears. They just don't have the same weapons that Jayden Daniels has, and that arsenal is, I think, what's going to carry him to Offensive Rookie of the Year. It's like looking in a mirror. That Washington won in the offseason, and I kept saying that. They had a lot of notable additions. They had Austin Eckler, Zach Ertz, Jayden Daniels, obviously, so they really rebuilt that team, and I think that arsenal is what is so credible to his success, but also just doesn't take away from him as a player. Like, you just said, he is so multidimensional and explosive. He's got 57 carries for 300 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns this year. That is really impressive for a quarterback, and also in the air, he's 13th in the NFL with 1,135 yards. He's only thrown 2 interceptions, and he has the 3rd highest passer rating of 73.2 in the league right now. So I obviously think he's Offensive Rookie of the Year, but he is just looking like a really promising player for years to come for that franchise.
Yeah, but what do you think about Caleb Williams?
Caleb Williams, I don't want to take away from him, but he's thrown 4 interceptions. He's only thrown for 5 touchdowns. He's not looking the way I thought he would look, but also I think you can credit it to the fact that he just doesn't have the same tools that somebody like Jayden Daniels has.
I 100% agree. I think it's gonna be a tight race between Malik Neighbors and Jayden Daniels.
I agree.
I think
Caleb Williams, I just don't think is great, and I don't think it's really him. I think it's the system that he's in. I mean, Matt Eberflusser is not a great head coach.
Mm-hmm.
All right, they still don't really have, I think, their true guy as an offensive coordinator. I mean, you look at his team. He has DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, Keenan Allen, Roma Dunze, DeAndre Swift, and he has 5 touchdown passes and 4 picks.
Yeah, they have studs, but they don't have an offensive line. I think that's a major problem. And I think once the Bears get it figured out, I think Caleb Williams, he needs time to adapt in the NFL.
For sure.
And I think, yes, he's a generational talent, but every quarterback needs that time to adapt. But what I like about Jayden Daniels is they throw him in the deep water early, and he's been proving to do well in it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not something that many rookie quarterbacks can do.
Yeah, I think, obviously Caleb Williams does have somewhat of an arsenal with those players, but I think just the fact that the Commanders are so multidimensional, and I think they just really got it together in the offseason, and I think that's what you can accredit it to. I think their culture there seems to be really good, at least from the outside looking in, and that's probably what's taking him far, but I'm really excited to see him keep playing. I hope he does win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Wouldn't be mad about Malik Neighbors either, but he is proving to be something that I think maybe Caleb Williams isn't, and maybe it's just that 2nd round overall pick. Maybe that's just like what comes with it.
I think it is a chip on the shoulder, but yeah, you said something about Malik Neighbors. Ashton, do you want to take us into how you're feeling about the Giants this year?
Absolutely. They're coming off of a dominant win yesterday, 29-20. I was really impressed with Daniel Jones' overall performance yesterday. I mean, we were just talking about a guy in Malik Neighbors who's been the number 1 guy for him. 35 receptions on the year. He was out, and yet he still managed to throw for over 250 yards with 2 touchdowns through the air, a 72.3 QBR, 109.6 rating, and get 38 yards on the ground as well. I was really impressed with his overall game. I mean, his deep ball looked better. He passed the eye test to me. I mean, everything about his game, the intangibles, really, since week 2 and on, he has looked like a top 15 quarterback to me, and the stats and the numbers prove it. Another guy I want to touch on, Tyrone Tracy. Again, Devin Singletary was out. Tracy said, give me the rock, no problem, I'll do it. 7.2 yards per carry, 129 yards on 18 carries. I mean, this overall Giants team just looked good. The defense only gave up 13 points. The other touchdown was a 102-yard scoop and score by Rayshon Jenkins. Good play by him, bad fumble by Eric Gray. But, I mean, I'm really excited about this Giants team, but I'm also a little disappointed because if a few things go the other way, this is a team that could easily be 4-1 right now.
Yeah, and what are those things that are what's different?
Look, I think the overall atmosphere of the team is different from last year. I think these guys have a lot more confidence, and I think this game is going to help Daniel Jones in the confidence category. Like I said, they were without Neighbors, and he was forced to spread the ball around, and I think that's going to give him confidence in these other receivers, like tight end Theo Johnson. I was stressing use the tight ends, 5 catches, 48 yards out of him with a long of 22 yards. That's something Daniel Jones loves. He's at his best when he utilizes the tight ends, and he did that this week. So I think the overall atmosphere going forward is better for this team, and you see it in his numbers, too, being top 15 in QBR. He's sitting 12th there. He's top 12 in passing touchdowns. He's 10th in yards right now. So he's just playing at an all-time high, and it's great to see. Few things go different. Like I said, this could be a 4-1 team, but I think 2-3 with the way that they've been playing from week 2 to week 5, you have to be very proud of this team.
So do you think it's the beard? Do you think the beard gave him the confidence, or what's going on there?
Look, I don't know, because he shaved the beard and now he has a stubble. So maybe it's the stubble confidence. I don't know, but I think it's just an offensive line. I think that's what Daniel Jones has been missing his entire career. He's coming off of a season where they give up the most sacks ever in an NFL season. And this has been something that the Giants have been struggling to find the past 10 years, going back to when even Eli was here. And now that he has it, you see him kind of performing how we wanted him to perform, as a rookie, as a second and third year guy. And that's what a good offensive line can do. We talked about Caleb Williams earlier and how his line's not good. That's what a good line can do. It could just elevate you, and it elevates your entire team.
Absolutely. Yeah. It makes all the difference in the world when your quarterback is comfortable in the pocket and they have time to adjust and scan, look down the field. And I think that going into the season, they did make some notable additions to their offensive line, and that is totally what's carrying him and giving him the confidence, although I guess you could say the stubble probably helps a little bit. But I think that you can easily tell he feels more comfortable than he has previously with the Giants. He made a lot of deep passes down the field yesterday, which were really impressive. I believe he had a 41-yard pass to Darius Slayton at one point. So he was playing really well. And I don't think the Giants are a Super Bowl contender or a playoff contender or anything like that, but you can't take away from Daniel Jones's athleticism and his explosiveness that he showed yesterday and has showed throughout the season. I didn't expect from him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Ashton, do you want to take us into the Ravens-Bengals game?
I mean, what a fun game this one was, right? An overtime thriller. Could have been won in the, regular time, but Evan McPherson missed a kick. Ended up coming back to bite them because Justin Tucker does it again with the legs. But both of these quarterbacks had an unbelievable day. I mean, Joe Burrow only missing 9 passes. He threw for almost 400 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 pick. He finally looked like Joe Burrow. Right, and this is something that we were waiting for. This was a Cincinnati team that entered 1-3. Now they're 1-4, sure, but the reason that they were 1-3 was because Joe Burrow wasn't playing like Joe Burrow. He finally has, and we saw the result. It just didn't end up going their way because on the other side, Lamar Jackson, 350 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 26 for 42. And Derrick Henry, 6.1 yards a carry, a touchdown for him, almost 100 yards through the ground. This is a Baltimore team that we, coming into the season, were like, this is going to be a fun team to watch with Derrick Henry and Lamar, and it has not disappointed. This rushing attack has been incredible with those two. I think it's elevated Lamar's passing attack. But I think the key focus here is, as I said, Joe Burrow is Joe Burrow again. And for Bengals fans, that has to be a sigh of relief.
Yeah, no, I think we definitely saw Joe Burrow cook. He had a great game, but when you're against Lamar Jackson and when Lamar's in his element, he fumbled a snap yesterday in that game, and then I thought the play was over. He turned it into one of the most beautiful passes I've ever seen. He is an improviser. I hate when people call him a running back because he's just phenomenal at what he does in the quarterback position.
Yeah.
He might be on his way to another MVP. I don't know. And what you said about Evan McPherson, it is not his fault that he missed that kick.
No. Yeah, it was a bad snap.
The rookie punter messed up the snap, mainly the hold is the thing that got messed up. And yeah, that was a hard watch, especially someone who played football in high school, been on special teams. That's something that just can't happen. And when the game's on the line, that was just wow. That's rare to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, Mark Andrews maybe's finally back. He had 4 catches, 55 yards. But again, 2 touchdowns went to the backup tight end, Isaiah Likely, and then the other touchdown went to Rashad Bateman, and the 4th touchdown went to Charlie Kohler, their 3rd-string tight end. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see where Mark Andrews is going to fit. Maybe he's finally rebuilding chemistry with Lamar with 4 catches for 55 yards. But I just keep finding it, a little concerning that not only now is it Likely, but now it's their 3rd-string tight end who's outperforming him as well. So.
Yeah, I think Mark Andrews is a little washed. Before yesterday, Jared Goff had more receiving points in fantasy than Mark Andrews.
It is interesting to see Mark Andrews play now because I think Derrick Henry has proven to be one of their main guys, and he's a running back, so it's exciting to see Lamar with as impressive gameplay as he produces in these games, see him adjust without Mark Andrews and see where he does throw the ball, but then also have that offensive weapon in Derrick Henry. So that team is just so fun to watch. I was so upset last year when they were knocked out. I literally was taking them to the Super Bowl. But also on the Bengals, can you say Joe Burrow is back after that game? Do we think that he's just gonna keep stepping up his performance after such a slow start to the season, or do you think after that game boosted all his rankings and his yards and everything? Do you think he just has it now?
I think the Bengals have always been a slow start team
Agree.
in the Burrow era. And Joe Burrow, he's coming off a season-ending wrist injury. So, yeah, he's not going to be perfect. But I feel like as time goes on, as he's healing, as he's getting used to slinging the rock again, especially like coming off surgery, it's different. Throwing the ball is different after surgery. So, excuse me. I think he's going to do a lot better going ahead. But you never know. And 1-4 start, I don't see the Bengals winning the AFC North, or maybe even being a playoff team. But
No,
I can
don't
see
think they're a
Burrow.
playoff team.
I can see Burrow having a pretty solid year this year. You know who else is having a solid year this year? Travis Hunter.
Oh, yes, he is. Travis Hunter, okay, last week on the show, I was kind of praising Jalen Milroe, thinking this is my Heisman, and I haven't strayed from that. But Travis Hunter, we just got to talk about this man because we mentioned him last week. He is playing on both sides of the ball, and so far this season, he's recorded 46 receptions for 561 yards and 6 touchdowns as a receiver. And then as a cornerback, he's got 16 tackles, 1 forced fumble, 2 interceptions, and 3 pass breakups. And he has played an average of 124 snaps per game, which is wild. And he is proving to be such a multidimensional player, and he is so fun to watch. He is landed at spot number 8 for receiving yards in college football right now, so he is doing really well. Do you guys think that he's taking the Heisman, and what are your thoughts on him right now?
I did, but then you look at a guy named Ashton on Boise State, their running back. I think he's having a way better year. He's breaking records. The only people that have outperformed him in the past, based on running backs for the first 5 games, have been the Heisman winners. Mark Ingram, Barry Sanders, Derrick Henry. So as great as Travis Hunter is, I think he is a phenomenal player on both sides of the ball. You barely see that anymore. Jabril Peppers at U of M, a guy was it 2016? He actually just got arrested today. Fun fact. But Jabril Peppers was like the Swiss Army knife kind of guy, a guy that played any position, and you're seeing that with Travis Hunter, and I think it's very refreshing. I think he's good on both sides of the ball. But Ashton Genty, he's just having a way better year, and 14.3 yards an attempt. It's
you
insane.
can look at Genty, but then, and obviously he is making history with his stats, but then you look at Travis Hunter and he is making history playing on both sides of the ball like that. So I guess it comes down to points or dynamic gameplay, which you say, they both have a little bit of each, but I don't know. What do you think, Ashton?
I mean, I think it's Ashton Genty. I don't think it's even close. I mean, the guy has 1,031 yards, and in 2 of the
95 carries.
Yeah, through 95 carries. And in 2 of the games, he only played the first half. I mean, if he plays both halves of football, he could easily be over 1,300 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible.
And his season total last year was 1,347 on 220 carries.
Yeah.
So I don't know what he did in the offseason, but he's got to keep that up because what he's doing is insane. He is going to be a phenomenal running back for Boise State. I don't know if he's going to transfer in his senior year, and I really hope not because he said before that he wants to stay loyal to Boise
Gotta
State.
stay on that Smurf turf.
Yeah, no, the blue turf.
I mean,
it's
maybe he'll leave
beautiful.
for the draft. I mean, you never know.
He could. I believe he's eligible.
This would be a good year for him to come out and go into the draft if he's planning on doing so, obviously.
Yeah,
I
there's
would
like
do it
not
over a year
that
like
many
this.
other good running backs. I mean, you have Henderson and Judkins, Ollie Gordon, but I mean, Ollie Gordon hasn't played like Ollie Gordon last year.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I think it's very cool to see a group of 5 guy, not power 4, who's kind of taking the reins and is the leading man for Heisman because that's just so rare. And Boise State's ranked. They're most likely going to be in the playoff with the group of 5 bid. So it's just exciting. So whether it's Travis Hunter, because Colorado's not a top 25 team, or Genty, it's going to be fun.
He's lighting it up down there in Boise, and I don't know if he knocks Jalen Milroe out of it, but we can talk about Alabama being knocked
Let's
out
talk
of it.
about
and that
Bama.
was an insane game, to say the least.
Out in Nashville, Bama loses to Vanderbilt for the first time since 1984. Blitz, Bama, blitz. No, sir. Final score, 40-35. Goalpost taken 3 miles. They ripped it out of the ground. You had college students hanging on the goalpost 3 miles down to the Cumberland
Did you see
River.
the $100,000 fine that came with that?
It doesn't matter. The students were having a good time. They don't care about their tuition. It's Vandy. They're all crazy smart, so they're going to be rich no matter what. They were having a great day. My friend who goes to Vandy was actually sending me videos. She did the walk. It was literally like a parade. They had police escorts, and everybody was for it. Everybody in this whole state of Tennessee, well, maybe besides the Rocky Top fans because they lost to Arkansas. But besides them, everybody's having a great time. Excuse me. And this raises the question, are the Crimson Tide Mickey Mouse, or was this just a hangover game after last week's victory against Georgia?
No, Alabama is 1,000% still legit.
Yeah. I mean, I'd agree here. But I just do want to say this is something Nick Saban would never allow to happen.
I agree.
You know,
Absolutely.
just saying Kalen DeBoer. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's a little bit of a fluke coach. Who knows?
No, I think Kalen DeBoer, I thought he was getting ready to learn Chinese after I looked at the first half and I saw Vanderbilt was winning. I didn't think they'd win the game. I thought it was just going to be like slow first half. Bama would come back in the second half and stomp them because that's what they did against University of Southern Florida earlier this year. But no, Vandy pulled it off. And like you said, this wouldn't happen under Nick Saban. It's just really weird. I think they fell now to 7th in the AP poll.
Yeah, they fell a long way.
Yeah, they went to, what was it, number
It's
5
embarrassing.
to number 1 to number 7. And yes, they're going to be a playoff team. They're probably going to win the SEC, depending on how Texas and Georgia do. But it's just so wild. Losing to Vanderbilt, it was the first time, like I said, since 1984. 40 years of dominating a team. And most games were like 59-0, taking the starters out at half. So I don't even know what to think. Like, if you're a kid at Vandy, you're probably partying all week.
Yeah.
I'm not going to a single class if my team beats Bama.
And you look at that win and you look at that ratio, the fact that they have not beat them in that long, and you look at the one key change, and it's the head coach. Like, that is what stands out, that Nick Saban is not there anymore. But I don't think it's fair to call anybody a fluke after it was still a close game. Alabama came back and almost took it home. They did not. But I don't think it's fair to call anything or anybody a fluke after that game. I think it might have just been a hangover game. We were talking a lot about him last week. They played really well, and Jalen Milroe still, he's, number 1 in pass efficiency in college football right now, and he is still a beast with insanely skilled and impressive stats. So I don't think it's fair to, I don't think anyone's taking Bama out of it yet, but it definitely raises questions about their gameplay if you're going to come off a game like that and go into their performance they had yesterday.
Yeah, no, they are not in a national championship team. They will make the playoff. They will not be in the Natty, though.
Really?
I can promise you that. That's a guarantee.
Who do you think's going to be in the Natty then?
Ooh, I got Texas. Well, depending on how the bracket
Texas
falls.
for sure.
Texas is going to be in there. They're just looking great. Either Arch Manning or Quinn Ewers. It doesn't matter who's at quarterback. Both are studs. It's going to be Texas versus, I think Ole Miss is going to have a return. I think Ole Miss is going to do really well.
Thank you.
Or I thought Oregon was a fluke. They're looking really good. It might be Oregon.
I think
Who knows?
it pains me to say I think Ohio State might make it there. And that's really, I'm like gagging. It's so awful. But I think, they moved up to number 1 and they've been playing really strong. So it might be them, but it's going to be interesting to see that new playoff system in college football as well, and I'm excited.
Yeah, definitely. And that is a wrap for today's show. I'm Dominic Pasella.
Madison Holder.
And I'm Ashton Sharinn.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.